following program is brought to you by your friends at Podcast One.
Stalker Cruise final ship voyage. This is Beyond the Darkness Live. Not bad. I'll take that. It's a good start. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Tim is on dry land, safe and not infected. That's all I know. As of this moment, I shouldn't admit it, I'm still uninfected aboard the ship. So, I'm keeping my eyes out for you biters. My room number is 9275 for you biters. No. Joining me on stage today to help me with today's podcast, from the Oddity Files, Kitsie Duncan.
Hey, guys.
She's a paranormal investigator, show host, and she's got her own podcast. We'll talk about that in a bit. And on the far end of the stage, from Texas and the Haunted Harlequin Theater, Nikki Folsom. So how we're going to do this today, folks, we're going to talk a little bit about the paranormal and the strange, supernatural, and we're going to open it up for you guys to share some of your stories. How many people here, by a round of applause, have seen a ghost? Okay. How many people believe in UFOs and aliens? How many people believe in Bigfoot?
Woo!
How many people are going to clap no matter what question I ask? You are just a bunch of lemmings. You're the first ones to go in the zombie apocalypse, people. Well, that's great. We have encountered all sorts of stories throughout the years of doing the show, and we've had a chance, like this cruise, to go around the world and visit different haunted sites. And we've had a chance to see some of the most amazing things and have some of the most freaky experiences. Every year I do a foreign trip, not like this, but a full-on foreign trip. We're going to be going to France this year for Darkness Radio. So if you're interested, you can find information at our website at darknessradio.com or darknessevents.com. We're going to be going out there for about 9 days. We will be going through the haunted catacombs. We'll be investigating one of the most famous haunted castles in France. We'll be eating French food and drinking cafe, whatever you say together,
wine.
Right?
We'll be drinking wine.
We're going to have a good time, and there'll be lots of drinking alcohol along the trip. So, you got that to look forward to. Nikki and I have been on a number of these foreign trips. And was Scotland your first trip?
It was.
So, Scotland we went to, and has anybody here been to Scotland at all? It's so cool. Just the whole, when you get there, you feel like you're in a totally different country. It's amazing. That's it, huh? Crickets?
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm hungover, people.
So we're in Scotland, and one of our first stops we're going to go down to is the what's the name of the
Edinburgh Vaults.
Yes, the Edinburgh Vaults, right? And people used to live down there, like the homeless took it over. They had all these different ideas for this, and they ended up, people would run businesses out of here or do drugs or have sex or whatever they wanted down in these tunnels. Well, we go down, and we get a chance to investigate. And the guy's like, we didn't know we'd get a full-on chance to investigate. We just thought we were going to get a little tour. So I've got with me Nikki's husband, Eric. And is Eric around here? Yeah, he's right in the front row. Eric is our skeptic, right? He doesn't believe in the paranormal, any of that shenanigans. And with that said, I go impromptu EVP session. Who wants to do some EVP, which is electronic voice phenomena. That's the recording of disembodied voices. So I break out my recorder, and we're all standing in a circle facing one another in this little tunnel. And I'm kind of explaining, okay, guys, we're going to do an EVP session. Just be real quiet. And then, I'm going to ask the questions. We're going to play it back. And I do what's called a short burst EVP session. I ask about 5 or 6 questions. Then we stop it, and we play it back to see if we get any responses. So we do our series of questions. We get nothing, right, from the answers. But when I listen to it on replay, we play it back. As soon as I turn on the recorder, there's a hum, and all of a sudden you hear this voice go, darkness.
No.
And then there's a pause, and then I'm like, all right, we're going to start our EVP session. And it was just all of us, and we're all standing right in front of each other. But it's this roguish, darkness. And Eric goes, what was that? What was that? And I go, we played it back and we could hear this EVP. So it was really kind of neat. Getting just access to haunted locations and getting a chance to kind of be there, steep yourself in the history of these locations. Nikki, I wanted to talk with you because coming back, and I joked around with you off air saying don't mention this, but you actually had a paranormal something attach itself to you at one point, right?
When it followed me home?
Yes.
From New Orleans? Yes.
Are you?
I will be happy to tell that.
Okay, please.
I almost didn't go back to New Orleans. I actually said this at Wizard World in New Orleans. Went there with friends to go to the Irish-Italian parade. If you've ever been to New Orleans, you may have heard some of the fun parades they have. That was the one we went to. We were driving back. We were staying in Bourbon, Orleans, which is a whole other story that I have to tell
haunted.
you. Oh, it's so haunted. Lots of things happened. Anyway, as we're driving down Royal Street, I got this pain in my stomach, and I don't know how to describe it, but I bent over like this, and for 24 hours, I couldn't stand upright. It was just horrible. So, didn't think anything of it, recover, go to the cemeteries, look around, see all the great stuff, go home, and I'm reading in this book that says, oh, there's this cool stuff on this house, and people, when they walk up to it, have this weird pain in their stomach. Okay.
They call it gas in my
No,
house.
it totally wasn't gas. Even farts didn't get rid of it.
Sometimes that jambalaya will get to you.
Right? So, thought that was creepy. Go to a basketball game, San Antonio Spurs. Went to a basketball game, came home. Eric happened to be traveling. And my nephew, who was living with us going to school, had locked me out of the house. So I went around to the front door, and as I'm walking up the street, I get this feeling to look up. And I would say probably 75 to 100 feet in front of me, my neighbor's yard, there's about a 7-foot tall shadow person looking at me. And immediately it's, oh shit. Head down, I'm moving fast, and I'm thinking, it's gonna kill me. You ever had that feeling where you're like, oh, I had it.
Oh.
And I'm like, don't look up, don't look up, don't look up, don't look up. And what do? You look up. And almost 25 feet in front of me, not too far from me, that's when I started running, high-heeled boots, dove over the wall to get to my front door. I'm beating on the door. I get inside. Nothing. There was nothing there. I looked out the window. Nothing there. So I called a friend of mine, told me to get in the shower, 3 counterclockwise turns, salt water over my head, pray to Jesus. So I did. It's Texas. I did.
Did somebody just snort, or did a demon show up on stage? That was awesome. I love it.
So there's... So this shadow person went away, but I don't know if you know this or not, but Mr. Skeptic himself has seen a shadow person twice, same house. So I don't know if it's the same thing.
He looks so
coming
disappointed
back,
that he's seen this shadow figure.
But yeah, he was so pissed. He's like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, what? And he saw it behind my head run across our back porch and down on the deck and around the house.
Nope.
Yep. So twice this thing has come back to just let him know it's there.
Yeah.
See, isn't it best when the non-believers have an experience?
Oh,
It's best for me.
amazing.
I mentioned we went to our very first event we did was out in Warwick, Rhode Island, the home of the Ghost Hunters TV series. And we did a tour where we got to see their headquarters. We stayed in this haunted hotel and we did this investigation. And it was beautiful because during the investigation, I'm standing out in the lobby and we've got Steve Gonsalves and Paula from Ghost Hunters are leading the ghost hunts. This guy comes out and he's rubbing his neck and he's all just discombobulated, and I'm like, what's wrong? And he goes, I don't know. I got in that one room and I just felt like I was choking. Oh man, I don't understand. I thought I was gonna die. I started feeling lightheaded. I was choking, like somebody was, like I was gagging on something, or somebody was choking the life out of me. I'm like, okay, we'll just stay down here and cool off for a little bit. And as he does that, the next group goes around, and then another guy comes down, rubbing on his neck. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And he comes down, and he's rubbing his neck, and I'm like, what's wrong? Same exact complaint. So the desk clerk is watching this happen, and both of these guys come over to me, and then we're all kind of having a discussion, because what we thought we knew about that room was wrong. We had heard that there had been a suicide attempt downstairs, and in the room that they were in was some other kind of death that had taken place. The front teller goes, I got to tell you what happened. He goes, I was working here that night. He said a guy went up into his room, checked in, was there for about an hour and a half. Despondent, he slit his own throat.
Oh.
then panicked, grabbed the phone, called down, and all I heard was, help, help, and he drops the phone. He goes, so you guys are both complaining about choking feeling and something over your neck and throat. He goes, I am not a believer in the paranormal, but that's weird, what you both just came down to do. My favorite part is then the wives show up in the lobby, and they're like, what are you doing down here? And we're like, oh, we're just talking this over. These two guys have had a paranormal experience. I shit you not. Both women go, are you fucking serious? You didn't even want to come on this trip. I'm the one that's into the paranormal. You're such a dick.
Happened to me.
You're such a dick. I'm like, I start laughing. I go, so you're upset that he was choking to death and so panicked that it forced a grown man out of a room. A paranormal experience was had. And she goes, but not by me.
Preach. I'm hashtag team girls on that one.
Right? But here's the whole deal. It's like, this guy was just along for the ride so he could go to Vegas later on in the year, right, with his buddies. Yeah. All right, honey, I'll go with you to do this if I can do that. And then he's the only one having experiences. And the wives were, like, lit up. Or going into, actually in the Stanley once, we're leading a ghost, and I walk out, and there's this girl in her pajamas, woman in her pajamas, sitting on the floor with a book. And I go, we really need you in your room because we're doing the investigation. She goes, no, I'm not going in that room. I go, why not? She goes, well, my boyfriend's out here ghost hunting. And I'm like, yeah? And she goes, well, the water keeps turning on in my bathroom. And I go, that's awesome. She goes, no, it's not. And I go, sure it is. You came all the way to the Stanley Hotel for paranormal experience. She goes, yeah, out here, not in there. And she wouldn't go back into her bedroom. So we had to sit there and cajole her. I had similar stories at the Queen Mary of having people, running out of their rooms because of the paranoia and the kind of paranormal activity. Jim Carrey stayed there during the filming of Dumb and Dumber and left the room the first night and said, get me another room or get me another hotel. I'm not staying in that room again. So it's kind of cool when you run into places like that where people aren't even expecting paranormal activity and weird stuff happens. And we've been there with full groups we kept it 18 and up. You could only be 18 and up to attend the event, so there were no little kids. And we would be settled in 3 or 4 in the morning, and you would start hearing a ball bounce down the hall and kids chatting and giggling. And we'd open up doors, and it's like some kind of weird prairie dog hole. All of a sudden, all of us are like, right? Heads popping out and pivoting, looking for some kind of sense out of this. But you could hear children playing in the halls. And that's where Stephen King came up with the 2 little girls holding hands in the hallway. He went to this Stanley, one of the last days it was open long ago for the season, and he got inspired because of the amount of activity that took place at the Stanley. And now you too can sleep in the Stephen King suite for only about $600 a night, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bargain.
So, well worth jump change. Yeah, make it happen. Now, aside from doing our show, Beyond the Darkness, as many of you listeners know, we do a show on Tuesday, True Crime Tuesday. Last week, we did a show called Bludgeoned by the Beast, and it was a story. We spoke to one of the survivors of Ted Bundy's final run. It was one of the girls that he didn't end up killing, but thought he killed in the sorority house in Florida. So Kitsie comes up on stage. I go, you got a couple good stories? She goes, well, have I ever told you about my Ted Bundy haunting? So we should hear about your Ted Bundy haunting, and we'll do that right after we take a break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more Beyond the Darkness live from the Walker Stalker Cruise.
Are you having digestive troubles? Weight gain? How about like me, low energy and achy joints? If you've been struggling with any of these, Dr. Stephen Gundry says you're not alone, and he knows the real cause. Dr. Gundry is one of the most famous and well-respected diet experts in the world, and he says that most of these problems aren't about lack of exercise or even genetics. The real cause is something called leaky gut. Leaky gut happens when you eat certain foods that contain lectins, which are these tiny little particles that tear holes in your digestive tract. These particles then wreak havoc on your insides, causing poor digestion, fatigue, achy joints and muscles, brain fog, and even worse, health issues. So what's the solution? Well, you just need to know a few foods to avoid, and Dr. Gundry has made a free video describing exactly what they are. People who watch the video have reported more energy, smoother bowel movements, slimmer waistlines, and a stronger, healthier body. If you want to finally tackle your leaky gut, just watch the video at TotalRestore2.com. That's TotalRestore and then the number 2.com. TotalRestore2.com. It's been helping Tim. It's helping me. Let it help you. TotalRestore2.com.
Welcome back. We're live at the Walker Stalker Cruise. Yeah, we have a great crowd out here. Thank you guys for showing up and showing up in force. Last night I was blown away. We did our ghost stories out there. This is the first time we got to do the ghost stories. Last time I was on the ship with the Jericho cruise, they had me lead the pub crawl. And at every bar, we got some kind of creepy-ass drink, and I had to tell a ghost story. And then we ended up out on the sports deck having more drinks. But last night was great. It was kind of an intimate but big feel, right? I think we counted 250 of you guys showed up. That's like 10% of the ship. Yeah. I don't know what you're cheering about. You realize we were at the end of the ship. We could have tipped it backwards. We could have all died.
Way to go, guys.
Is that how it works? I'm not sure. But anyway, we were all back there, had a great time, so thank you all for showing up to that. Thank you for showing up to this. All right, Kitsie Duncan, she's with us. She is the host of the Oddity Files, and she has her own podcast. So tell people a little bit about that so we know how
So we have
we can
a
find
show.
you.
Actually, my entire crew is here. Clayton, Carter, thanks for being here. We have a show on Amazon Prime. Search us up, add us to your watch list. It's just called Oddity Files. It's pretty much just a paranormal investigation show. The three of us go to all these notoriously haunted locations, and we get some really badass evidence. So definitely head on out to check that out. And Clayton and I just started our podcast. It's called Oddity Files, the podcast. And subscribe to us on iTunes, all that good stuff. We kind of just tell each other ghost stories. We don't know what we're going to tell each other once the show starts. But my Ted Bundy haunting was actually one I told a couple weeks ago. So you can skip past that story when you subscribe on iTunes to Oddity Files, the podcast.
Stop telling people what to do. Don't skip through it. Listen to it there, too, but now you have to share it with us.
I do. So I guess everybody knows who Ted Bundy is, right? Everybody's seen the documentary on Netflix. He's an asshole.
Netflix.
We hate him, right?
Yep.
So apparently his childhood home is haunted. It got kind of caught up in the whole, house flipping thing. It's like a 12,000 square foot home, teeny tiny. He moved out there after he found out his sister was actually his mom. You know that whole story.
If I had $1 for every time that happened to me.
But recently it was in the flipping craze, and they brought in somebody purchased it, brought in a big crew, started renovating the place to make it, more appealing. And things were happening around the house. Like as soon as the contractors would walk in, their cell phones would automatically die. You can kind of chalk that up to cell phone shit, right? I mean, that's not necessarily a haunting. But one day they left the house, they came back in, and in the sheetrock dust, in the middle of one of the rooms there that was covered in the sheetrock dust, it said, "Leave." No footprints around it, so nobody knows how anybody got in there to write "leave" in the dust. Then one day the contractors, are working downstairs, and this huge piece of furniture that's like part of the home that was like wedged between a couple walls actually fell down. And they said it would take two very large men to even move that thing as it was. Their power tools were becoming unplugged, things like that. So the contractor's like, now wait, I'm going to go talk to the neighbors, and I'm going to see, if there's like break-ins happening in the neighborhood, things like that. And they're like, well, no, but did you know that this is the childhood home of Ted Bundy? So he kind of lost his shit, went to a priest.
Kind of.
Yeah. And so the priest came in, said, here's what I want you to do. No more, crazy demon hard rock music, whatever you want to call it. Only Christian songs can play while you're working on the house. They went and they wrote Bible verses on each of the walls before they painted it. And I guess the activity kind of slowed down. They ended up selling the house to somebody who had no idea, one, that it was haunted, which I thought that was illegal, two, that it was a childhood home of Ted Bundy. So I need to find this person, and I think we should go investigate. What do you think?
Yeah.
She's raising her hand. You
Yes.
go investigate? Yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine that if you take over that house, somebody tells you 5 years from now you start like sanding down the walls and there's like Bible verses appearing on the walls? It's like that meme that was around where the smartass put in new carpet but took red paint and put his hands in it. Have you guys seen that?
Those.
And smeared the handprints going all the way to the vent and it says, "Help me."
Yeah.
So whoever rips up the carpet is going to see that. You know, Ted Bundy's ghost, and we mentioned this on our true crime show last week, Ted Bundy's ghost was known to haunt the prisons after he was put to death. As a matter of fact, and if you read it online, a couple of the prison guards came forward. They refused to go in by old Sparky, the electric chair, because they would go in at times, and Bundy would be sitting there, healthy and happy, not strapped in, and he would just be taunting the guards. They would see him, the prisoners used to complain about him coming in and out of their cells at night, the ghost. And they weren't allowed to talk about it anymore. They got shut down, right? They weren't allowed to chit-chat about it. There's a lot of places where Bundy's ghost continues to make his presence
known.
The guy
will not go away.
Well, he was such a
ultimate
glory
narcissist.
whore in person.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Strange cat. But, boy, that's a good one. So talking about the Bundy haunting. Nikki's got a book out called The Haunting of the Harlequin Theater.
Haunted Harlequin, yep.
Yep, almost exactly what I said. Very similar. So talk to me about the possessed Harlequin. What can you tell us about this? Why is it such a haunted theater, and where is it located for our listeners?
It's located on Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas. I don't know why it's so haunted. What I'll tell you is there's a lot of theaters that are haunted, and I firmly believe it's the energy that's left behind, only because the performers give so much energy to the audience, and the audience gives so much in return, and I think it just gives them the energy to manifest there. But there's a boatload of spirits there that are constantly around, and I've said this before, that they're not a circus act. They don't come out just, hey, come on out and talk to me. No, it doesn't work like that. You go in, some days it's great, other days it's, oh God, get me the hell out of here. Not all are bad. There's a little man, I run sound for the musicals, and there was a little old man that would stand up against the wall, and he felt like a grandfather-like figure. Just stood there and watched gray hair, white shirt, khaki pants. As soon as I looked at him, gone.
Oh, wow.
But I could see him out of the corner of my eye, and I thought I was crazy for a long time, and then we had some other ghost hunters, paranormal investigators that came in and did an investigation, and they said, oh, by the way, the man you described, we saw him in 2009. Like, yes, I love validations like that.
Yeah.
But there's a little girl there, and what creeps me out, I said to Eric last night, this little girl's been here for a long time. Lots of people have seen her. She followed me home one night, and not a bad spirit. I woke up in the middle of the night to a little kid going, "Rah!" Oh, in like an excited voice, like let's play voice, and I'm like, you got to go back to the theater.
That was your best let's play wake up voice?
I didn't want to. That's all I got. I didn't want to.
Bobcat Goldthwait's child visiting or what?
I know you pooped.
You want to play.
Right. So what's interesting is we had rehearsal before we left for the cruise, and one of the cast members, her little girl is 2, Paloma's 2, and she and I were getting costumes ready, and we were standing beside each other. Her mom's rehearsing on stage, and Paloma says, little girl wants to play.
Aww.
She might be 3, actually, now that I think about it, but little girl wants to play. I'm like, all right, shit, we're out of here. Let's go over here. There's sequence. Pay attention to the sequence.
If it's easier for you to hold the microphone so you keep it in front of your mouth, I just want to make sure everybody can hear the story. On this side, I'm hearing a lot of, and then...
Sorry.
I want to make sure everybody can hear it, so...
Okay.
You're in trouble.
But
you have to
I'm
forgive
always
her,
in
Kitsie.
trouble.
She's not a professional like you and I.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so the scariest thing at the theater, actually my scariest experience ever, besides that shadow person that chased me or followed me from New Orleans, happened at the theater. And we had just finished the show, The Bad Seed, the play. Believe it or not, it was a play. And I was the last person in the dressing room. It was closing night. I was coming out, I turned off all the lights, got all my shit, coming out the door. As soon as I turned off the lights, I knew it. You know, the hair on the back of your neck stands up? Yeah. And as I turned to walk across the backstage, something chased me, like came up over top of me. And I don't scream on investigations. I screamed like a little girl that night. And I went out yelling at Eric, where the hell is Robert? Who is one of the managers at the theater, and Sean and Eric were telling me he's in the box office, which is in the front of the building. No one else was back there with me. It was just me and this asshole shadow person. And this guy, I call it a guy just because I don't know how to describe. You
because
can
it was
feel
an
it
asshole.
like a
I
male
understand.
energy.
No, there's female assholes too, but you can just feel the energy.
Yes.
There's a difference between a male and a female energy. But when I would work backstage in some of the shows, I would be on stage right, and I could hear something at stage left, and I would look over, and the shadow would be looking right back at me. And I'd be like, oh, go away, go away, go away. Nope, close your eyes, he's still there.
So I have a question. So the little girl followed you home and then went back?
And then went back to the theater. I've learned to say to all of the spirits, stay here. You can't follow me home. And now they don't.
It doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work.
That's why Eric walks around their house naked all the time. No little girl ghost needs that nonsense.
I am the queen of smudging my house every 2 weeks because they love to follow me home.
In Hollywood.
I have a story regarding smudging, right? So get this guy again. It's another one of these skeptics who just doesn't believe anything weird happens. But his daughter keeps complaining about this man in her room. And it's a little girl. And the wife's very upset about all this. She's like, we've got to do something, After all of this, and I'm trying to remember the way the whole story unfolds, but basically, he finally goes out and gets one of those big Bob Marley smudge sticks, right?
Oh.
And if you have seen them, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a huge Bob Marley. It looks like the biggest joint you've ever smoked, right? And he goes in, not sure how to do this. He lights it on fire. And he's waving it around in the room talking to his wife. And the room's dark. His kids are sleeping downstairs for the night. He's waving it around and the fire's going. What you do is you blow out the fire and then the smoke. So he's waving around the smoke and the smudge from the white sage is going around the room while he's doing this. And he's talking, and his wife says something like, I think you're supposed to blow out the flame. And he looks back, and it's just a haze of cloud, and the face goes right through the cloud. He can see the smoke face, and it goes right up to the end of the thing, goes, and blows on the sage stick, and the fire goes out. And then it just kind of goes back into the cloud of smoke.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
When your ghost is like, that shit doesn't work on me.
Yeah. Here, let me help you out.
Let me help you out.
With me.
I go on one of my first investigations back in 2006. We go to the warden's house, this haunted place in Stillwater, Minnesota. And afterwards, we do the pagan ritualist around us. She's doing all this jinky-janky junk around us, and she's saging us. And we get going, and it's like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm driving, and I start a sneezing fit, right? I'm sneezing, so I'm doing the kind of weaving on the road as I'm sneezing. And all of a sudden, woo!
Uh-oh.
Oh, crap. What did I do wrong? I'm not realizing how much I'm weaving, right? Pull over to the side of the road, roll down my window. The officer leans in. He goes, do you know why I pulled you over? And he looks at me, and I go, no, I don't. Do I have a tail light out? And he goes, no, you were kind of weaving. And I'm like, what is he? Oh, shit. Because sage smells a lot like weed.
It's so much like
right? And I'm like, oh, no. And he goes, sir, can you step out of the car, please? Oh. And I go, oh, no, this is not going to go well. So I step out of the car, and I'm like, you got any Cheetos? No, I can't. I step out of the car, and he goes, sir, have you been imbibing in anything tonight? I said, no, I've actually just come back from an investigation. Because I thought it'd be better to leave paranormal out of it at that point.
Always throw it in.
And then he looks at me, because he looks at me and he goes, what type of investigation? Are you an attorney? Are you an investigator, a PI? Are you a cop off duty? I'm like, no, I was doing a ghost hunt. Right? How high are you? Yeah. He goes, you were doing a ghost hunt. And I go, yeah. And I said, if you want, and I hand him my keys. I said, you can open my trunk. And in my trunk are all of my tools. Now I'm sure he's thinking, oh shit, am I going to find like a pickaxe, a tarp, some rope, and a lye soap in the back of the deal? And
Adult
he goes,
toys.
okay. And he goes and he opens up my trunk, and I've got video cameras and K2 meters and all these blinky flashy toys. And he looks at me and he goes, well, you smell like you've been smoking weed. I said, it's called white sage. And he goes, I don't care what you call it. It's illegal in the state of Minnesota.
Is that one of them
I'm like, no.
doobies?
It's literally something called white sage, and you burn it after a paranormal investigation to get rid of ghosts. Which, I don't know, show of hands, how many people think that sounds like the most ridiculous way to get rid of a ghost? I just don't understand, and boy, show of hands works really well for radio, I just realized. With complete and utter silence, how many people believe? So I go, well, what do you mean? It smells like weed. Obviously, I'm not stoned. My eyes aren't red. He goes, aren't they? Aren't they? And I'm like, well, it is 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm very tired. So then I'm out on the side of the road doing the field sobriety test as my jackass fellow investigators go blowing by, and the pagan goes flying by. Son of a bitch. She knew exactly what they were busting me for. I got off. I didn't have to go to jail, thankfully, for doing a paranormal investigation. But it's so strange to have those little bits. We have to take another quick break. We'll be back. Stay tuned. We got more of the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness.
Beyond the Darkness listeners, if you like this show, then you're going to love the Laura Ingraham Show podcast on Podcast One. Join Laura as she takes on politics and pop culture with some hard-hitting guests and takes your calls. Download the Laura Ingraham Show podcast every week on Podcast One or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Beyond the Darkness.
To the show. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm Dave Schrader, live on the Walker Stalker Crew. Yeah. This has been a hell of a good time on this cruise. Man, first of all, the celebrities, could they be any nicer?
They're so amazing.
You actually work with these guys. You go from place to place. You do the photography for
We go all over the world with Walker Stalker.
Hey there, cruisers.
Oh,
Tonight's
hello.
our final night, and that means it's time to party. And also that our final Minecraft session is about to take place at Summer Palace. That's deck 6 aft at 7 p.m. So don't miss it. Let's go out with a bang, guys. Starting at 7:30.
Yeah, who wants to bang? I mean, go out with a bang.
I knew that was coming.
And then the game of cat.
So, working with the, right, I go in, I did 3 celebrity photos, or 2 celebrity photos. My wife did 3, and we did autographs, right? So my first photograph is to go in with Negan himself, right? Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Could this guy be any cooler, right?
So cool.
I don't think he's acting.
No.
I think he's just that fucking cool in person, right? Because he comes strolling in. Hey, everybody. He's giving hugs to Kitsie and all the people in there and shaking hands. And then he goes up to do our picture and shakes our hand and puts his arm around my wife and I, a little bit closer on my wife. Right? But he's one of those guys that I'm like, I'm pretty sure I would have to give my wife up to him at some point, too, if it was the real world. But he's one of those kind of guys where you kind of don't mind, right?
He's not bad to look at all.
No, he's all right to look at. I mean, if you find roguishly good-looking men attractive.
Who does?
Whatever. And then we go in to see David Morrissey, because aside from being a Walking Dead fan, I'm a huge Whovian, right? I'm a big Dr. Who.
Whovians in the house!
But he had, like, the greatest response, because my wife and I go in, I'm wearing my TARDIS jersey. She's got on her TARDIS sweatshirt, and we walk in, he goes, yes, the Who's are finally here! He gives me a big hug and shakes my hand. Just such nice people. And then my wife goes in to get a picture with Jesus, and we had a hashtag #MeToo moment, Jesus. Right? He is such a sweet guy. Tom Payne, this picture, he just like a spider, he just envelops my wife. He's all squished up against her, getting the picture, and of course my wife is hating every minute of it. This picture, she's just got this...
Oh yeah, I could see it. I took the
dreamy look in her eye. So now I gotta go get a wig and a beard, and I guess we're gonna be doing weird role play when I get back home.
That will be weird.
You know what is really cool about being able to be to all these Walker Stalker events is Clayton and I last year actually investigated in Australia after the Walker Stalker event there, an old jail, which they spell Goal. It's so weird. But talk about some creepy folks. All the ghosts in every jail I've ever been into. Terrifying. Wow. How about you?
Yeah, I've been to Eastern... I've spent more time in jail than Britney Spears.
Oh, well, there
I've been in Eastern State Penitentiary. I've been in the jail in Virginia City. I've been in Mansfield Reformatory, the old... the Ohio State Reformatory. So I've spent hours upon hours locked into cells doing paranormal investigations.
They're so active. Every jail I've ever been in.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Slightly terrifying.
Very exciting, though. I mean, the kind of weird activity. Although you start to get... we were at the Virginia City jail doing this late-night investigation, and it's now like 4 o'clock in the morning. Jeff Belanger and I are leading the investigation. We're wiped. So we're sitting on the floor, and there's 2 rows of cells. And they're all on the lower level going in and out of cells when at the exact same time we see a shadow figure walk out of one cell, walk across, and go into another. And I look over at Jeff, and he looks at me, and we look back up, and then the shadow walks out and walks across into the other one. I go, did you see that? He goes, yeah. And I go, should we tell them? And he goes, nah, we're really tired. We're probably hallucinating.
It does happen.
Made sense at 4. Then it took like another hour on our way home. I'm like, how could we both have been hallucinating the same thing at the same time?
I swear sometimes driving home from investigations, I'm always seeing somebody in my backseat. Every single time.
I check the back seat every time.
That's because you're good horror movie mavens. You know to check the back seat.
No, there's actually a story behind it. When we came home from the theater one night, my daughter had something in the back seat. She kept saying, go, 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 keep talking, keep talking. I think we said the Lord's Prayer for 15 minutes straight until it went away.
Wow.
Yeah, it was...
Sleep with one eye open, right? Clutching your pillow tight.
Hey, that shit's for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know... And my kids now are of the age where they want to know more about ghost hunting, and they want to go. And it was really cute. I took them to the Palmer House Hotel in Sauk Center, Minnesota. And we're investigating, and we're in Lucy's room, and we've got one of these spirit boxes, right? It's
my favorite.
And you hear the little radio blurbs coming out, snippets, and we're trying to communicate. And I go, Lucy, how come you're not talking with us tonight? Is there something wrong? Do you want us to leave? And all of a sudden you hear this voice very clearly out of the radio go, leave now.
Ooh.
So which my daughter leans forward, turns off the radio, and goes, we gotta go.
See ya.
I'm like, well, wait, no, we're just getting action. She looks at me and she goes, Dad, you've told me to be respectful of the ghosts, and they told us to leave now. We're leaving now. I'm like, okay. And I go, I was really impressed by that. She goes, I was just afraid and didn't want Linus to know, right? Her big brother. So I thought the respect was great till I realized she had no respect. She just didn't want her big brother to know she was a chicken when it came to ghost hunting. Having these kind of experiences. Now, I'd like to hear from the listeners as well about paranormal experiences. Who's willing to share their story with us? You got a couple here? All right. I don't know what this means. Is that a yes or? Why don't we start right here in the front row? Patient 0, if you can hand her the microphone. Just tell us your name, your social security number, and your bank account. It's strictly for legal purposes. Your first name and where are you from?
Brandy from Fort Worth, Texas.
Yes.
Can we turn on the microphone? Hold on one second. Do it again.
Brandy.
There it is.
All right, Brandy from Texas. Okay, Brandy, where did this happen?
This was in Ireland, actually.
Ooh.
All right.
I took a trip when I was 19, and we ended up staying in a castle for a while, one of the days we were there. And I had always, it was one of those where it said that it was haunted, and I'm not a skeptic at all, but I thought, let's just see, whatever. But I had the feeling, and I looked behind me, and the hallway was empty, and I turned around and took a picture, but it ended up having a white mist.
What?
It was awesome.
I never get good photos.
I have one I'll have to show you afterwards.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
I'll send it to you.
Do you
So
remember
you had
what
a
castle?
white mist.
It was a white mist. It was like bodily-ish shaped.
Bodily-ish shape? I'm kind of bodily-ish shaped. That's my wife. She's always looking at me and going, ish, that's your body?
Basically.
Bodily-ish shaped. Okay.
Bodily-ish.
But you had no other encounter other than catching a photograph, which is cool.
Well, I have that, but I've had a lot since I was a child.
What's the
I had
scariest
a lot
thing
of
that's
toys
ever
that
happened
would
to you?
turn on their own.
Toys that would turn on by your own?
My mom
Remember
would
when that
take the
happened at the
batteries out and
airport,
put 'em
honey,
in
and
the
your
other side
bag
of the
started
house.
vibrating? Oh, different kind of toy,
Different
right?
toy.
All right.
Different toy.
Always in the
My
garden.
bad.
Oh my God, Dave.
Those are controlled.
Okay.
But
So
no,
what's the scariest thing that ever happened to you?
Scariest would be, it's actually why I had to start sleeping with the TV on for a while, is because I would have a lot of, right after my great-grandmother died, I had a lot of screaming in my house.
Oh, that's terrifying. Do
She
you
would
think
scream
it
my
was your
name a
great-
lot.
Do you think it was her?
I thought the first one was her, and I think it might have been. I have more dreams with her than anything.
Oh,
but
I love those.
the very first one I swore was her. But after that, I just heard a lot of footsteps up my hallway and stairs, and then a lot of screaming in the house. I was like, we're going to turn that TV on.
So what's the consensus? We're all adults here. If you hear footsteps in your house, are we all still just putting the covers over our head and pretending like it's
Yes.
not happening?
No, I go look
Yes.
for him.
Totally.
I don't know if you
Like,
know
that
this,
didn't
but
happen.
Martha Stewart makes a ghost-proof sheet now. So you can put it over your head. Why does that work, right? But it does stop ghosts. Why is that?
I don't know. As
Thousand
long as
right
my
now.
butt's covered, I feel
Right.
safe. I don't know why.
I have that same feeling. But I've spent a lot of time in prison, so that could be the real reason.
Well, I also sleep with my TV on and my light on, much to my husband's dismay.
know-
Always do.
I've actually started, I can sleep now. Of course, I've moved since then, but I can sleep without my TV on. But I have this giant, body-sized zombie that sleeps next to me on my, stand.
It's for protection. You
I
can
wake
say
up
it,
and I
girl.
look and I'm like, you got me, we're good.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
She's
So
been
in
at
your
my house and it
world-
scared the shit out of me.
Wait. So in your world, a body-sized statue of a zombie is going to protect you from a ghost.
You know what? If I know what's sitting over there, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of like, driving in the shared ride lane when you put the zombie in the car seat next to you to get away with it. He's just there to protect you and do your thing.
He's doing his job.
All right. Who else had a story? Yes, young lady right there. Why don't you stand up if you could for us? What's your first name?
Gina.
Gina?
Hi,
How old
Gina.
are you, Gina?
15.
15? All right. I know, I'm 5129. So I get that.
I'm
All right.
21.
So,
A little bit closer so we can hear you.
me and my family went camping in Colorado Rockies.
Uh-huh.
And we ended up wave deep in this national forest. Me and my best friend had just watched the new movie Slenderman the night before we had went camping, which was obviously a great idea.
Great idea.
Fantastic,
So,
yeah.
I'm already super scared, and we were looking around in big tall trees, and we had our campfire in front of us, and behind us we had a little flame that kept mosquitoes away. And I was freaking out. My dad goes, Gina, there's nobody there. There's nobody there. Nothing's moving. There's no sounds. And he goes, Marco, as loud as he can. And for maybe 5 seconds, everything was fine. And then right behind us, the little flame just goes out.
Oh, and those are hard to blow out,
Right.
Like the little tiki torch thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the campfire in front of us, nothing. It was still. The flame was still. No wind, no nothing. The little flame had just gone out. And at that point, I
And somewhere in the woods, Bigfoot was excited going, hold on! Hold on! That's awesome.
I was hoping she was going with the Bigfoot angle. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, the important thing is you never have to worry about being in the woods unless you're doing drugs or having the sex. Okay? So as long as you avoid that, if anything has been taught to us by horror movies,
so
is
red
don't
right
be
now.
a druggy slut and you'll be fine. Right? You know? Don't be the fat guy, the black guy, the druggie, or the slut. You're done. Right? You be the good girl and you're going to make it to the end of that stupid camping trip. Right? Your parents, they're fucked. You're okay. Right? Just know that. That's the way to live.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who else do we have here? In the far back. Oh, right here. We'll get this one in the front and then run back to you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Dawn from Virginia.
Donna from Virginia.
Dawn.
Okay.
Dawn. Just
Dawn.
Dawn.
Okay.
Pay attention.
Sorry, she's got that Virginian accent.
Yes,
No, you just couldn't hear.
Typical male. Go ahead.
okay.
Too true.
All right, well, my mom had left to go to the grocery store one morning, and I was expecting her back. I'm just sitting on the couch, and I look at the back door, and I swear, it's her standing there. Long hair, everything. So I'm like, Mom, what are you doing at the back door? And you come to the front door. I'm like, hold on, I'll get up, I'll come help you get the groceries in. So I bend down to get up, and I hear a horn blow. I look out the front yard, and she's pulling in the driveway. I look back at the back door, there's nothing there anymore. So I am freaked the hell out.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes in the house, and she's like, what's wrong with you? Now, this woman is scared of everything. And I said, there was a person at the back door. We have a privacy fence. I said, it looked like you. I said, what the hell's going on? She goes, oh, that was probably just my aunt.
Oh.
Said, she looked just like me. She comes to my window every once in a while.
Oh,
I'm like, what
you
the
know.
hell?
What kind of
So
freaky
blasé.
fucking family do you have in Virginia?
Right?
Your aunt's just outside the window going,
Except she died when my mom was her age.
oh,
Gotcha.
no bueno.
I have a real quick thing. Are you done?
Yeah.
All right, why don't you run it to the back while Kitsie gives us her quick
So
thing.
I do think this ship may be haunted.
The ship?
The
Yes.
ship. Because
Somebody stayed in a haunted room. So is that person here? Somebody was telling me they had a ghostly encounter in their room over the last couple of nights. All right, go
So
on.
I was doing photo ops. I'm not sure who I was shooting. I think it might have been Ross Marquand. And this is how ghosts let me know that they're around if I'm oblivious to it, is they just kind of tap me. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's this. And I'm in the middle of shooting a photo, and all of a sudden I feel this in the middle of my back. So anybody who got photo ops, you know how tiny those rooms were, and we were up against the back. So I look at Clayton, and I'm like, was that you? And he looked at me like I was batshit crazy. And then I look at my friend Corey, and I'm like, was that you? And he's like, what are you even talking about? So that's how they let me know when they're here sometimes. And it was creepy. It was kind of like a shivers down my spine type of deal. So at least I'm not the only one.
You're not. Let me tell you, that's really weird because there's a place in our house that looks, and I don't know how else to describe this, but remember the movie Predator? And when the thing moved through the woods, it looked like vapor almost?
Yeah.
I was in our room and I saw that on this ship.
Oh, really?
Oh, great. Now we've got aliens,
so I was like,
too.
And I don't see it very often, but it was creepy. So when you said that, I'm like, oh, my God.
Everything's on this ship. Not only zombies, but aliens and ghosts.
And zombies. All right. You're up.
Hi, I'm Melinda from South Carolina.
Hi, Melinda.
West Virginia. But originally, the house my dad built in West Virginia, I grew up into adulthood. Now, Dad always talked to the ghost in the house. He described the ghost as a farmer, bib overalls, wearing moccasins. He talked to him all the time.
Wearing moccasins?
Wearing moccasins.
I love it.
Now, I never saw him, but I could hear the shuffling on the floor. And I would do that. I'd pull myself under the covers, pull the feet in, didn't want to be touched.
Make sure that butt's in.
Exactly, the butt is covered. Now, fast forward 20-some years later with my second husband, I never told him the story about the ghost. So that one morning he tells me, I had a really bad dream last night. I had a nightmare. I said, well, what was it? He said, the angel of death came after me. Oh. He walked out of my daughter's bedroom, the one with the black gown, and he was coming for me. He said this old guy came out from the other bedroom and said, it's not his time. You can't have him.
Oh.
It's not his time. You can't have him.
Wait a minute. What's more unnerving, that happened or the fact that the Reaper didn't know, right?
Well,
he's like drunk that morning. He's like, Bill Phillips.
Yeah, really.
I can't read the address, but there's a Bill Phillips.
He didn't get that memo.
Come on, where are you going?
So I asked, Rick's telling me this story. I said, well, what did he look like? The old guy, the ghost, the farmer. He says, bib overalls, a beard, and moccasins. I'm like, that was our ghost.
That.
Yeah.
Just looking out for him.
Yeah.
They're not all scary.
Yeah, they're not all scary.
So the ghost is rebuking the master of death himself, right?
He did.
The Grim Reaper.
The farmer said, back off, baby. You can't. It's not his time.
He's a powerful little spirit, isn't he?
So kind of our Herschel ghost.
Yeah,
I like that. Very nice. Very cool. How about the guy in the back with the baseball cap from the Blackhawks? He looks trustworthy. This is one of my oldest and best friends, Paul Navarra, Officer Navarra. Paul, please.
Hello.
Tell us your story.
Yeah, I worked the midnight shift, so on my days off, I'm pretty much up all night. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, and down the hallway, and to start out the story, we just bought this house. We've been in it for about a month or two. And the person who owned it before us died at 100 years old. They lived in the house for 50 years. And I'm sitting on the couch. And from my daughter Jenna's room, I see him walk out into the hallway, turn, look at me, and then walk toward my wife's, where my wife was sleeping in her room. And I must have spent 20 minutes there trying to figure out what I saw. Did I really see it? But I could clearly make out his face. He was all white. He was very tall, very thin. And so the next day, I had my wife and my son Michael were home, and I brought up the story to them. And they're like, really? And we hadn't discussed this or anything like that. And she had then told me about where she was walking into Jenna's room. She saw a quick, bright light and felt something rush past her. And then my son, Michael, he's like, well, I was in the shower, and I saw a shadow walk past. He goes, I thought one of you guys had walked in the bathroom, walked past. And then he said, I saw the shadow walk past. He goes, but I never heard a door open. And he goes, I looked, and nobody was there. So, and we've lived in the house now for about 5 years. We haven't seen anything since. We believe that maybe the guy was just checking to see who had taken over the home. Nobody felt any kind of evil presence or anything. Felt very comfortable. And we think he just wanted to see who was taking over the house.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure you weren't doing anything he didn't want you to do.
Anything again.
Very cool. All right, we have to take our final break. We'll come back. We've got more stories to share right here on Beyond the Darkness.
60 seconds. That's exactly how long this commercial takes, give or take. You know what else you can do in about a minute? Get an offer for your car with TrueCar. That's right. In the amount of time it takes to floss your teeth, pet your dog, do a few sit-ups, or just listen to my voice, you can get a true cash offer. Best of all, you can do it from your smartphone or home app. Just go to TrueCar and simply enter your license plate number and watch how your car's details pop up. Answer a few questions. You're going to get an accurate true cash offer from a local TrueCar certified dealer. It's just that easy. After that, you bring your car in. They'll check it out with you together. You can ask questions, get the answers you need so there's no surprises. Then simply leave with your check or trade in your car for a new ride. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today. Sunday Scaries describes that feeling of impending doom for the upcoming work week. When you're dreading your responsibilities and questioning your entire existence. Did you spend too much money over the weekend? Send a text message you regret. Maybe you drank too much, procrastinate at work or at home on that assignment. Maybe you forgot to pay your bills. Sunday Scaries makes these daily anxieties not so scary and allows you to enjoy the now. Sunday Scaries gummies provide a calm, clean sense of relief and mild euphoria. Sunday Scaries are a healthy, non-habit-forming remedy for dealing with life's little nuances. These CBD gummies are custom formulated with 10 milligrams of blend of broad spectrum and isolate CBD as well as vitamins B12 and D3 for mood boosters. They're made with natural ingredients that are free of gluten, dairy, yeast, eggs, soy, and peanuts. Sunday Scaries can be ordered online from the website sundayscaries.com. SUNDAYSCARIES. Sundayscaries.com and ship directly to your front door. There are also subscription packages for recurring monthly orders at a discounted rate. And right now, my listeners can buy Sunday Scaries with a 10% discount and free shipping at sundayscaries.com. Use promo code DARKNESS at checkout. That's sundayscaries.com. Use promo code DARKNESS. That's DARKNESS. Sunday Scaries gummies contain 0 THC, which means they are non-psychoactive and will not get you high, but they will help you relax. And it has been something that has helped me quite a bit. Dealing with anxiety, having 6 children, a new marriage, new home, multiple jobs, you can get all kinds of bent up and twisted. I've really enjoyed my Sunday Scaries, and I think you will as well. So give it a try. Check it out at sundayscaries.com and use promo code DARKNESS.
We are back. This is the final Walker Stalker Cruise. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me, Kitsie Duncan, Nikki Folsom, and a cast of hundreds. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. All right, who has some paranormal stories to share with us? All right, we'll go over here real quickly. Yes, what's your name?
My name is Debbie, and I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
It's like a paranormal Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Debbie. I'm from New Orleans. All right,
I've been clean.
And my paranormal experience took place at the Myrtles Plantation.
Oh,
shit. Yeah. So I'm going to date myself a little bit when I tell this story, but when I was in college, I was taking a Louisiana history class, and our final paper was to write something about Louisiana. So being the person that I am, I decided to write my paper about the Myrtles Plantation. So my roommate and I went to the plantation, and I took one of those little tape recorders with the big cassette tapes.
Oh, nice.
In it, and I stuck it in the jacket pocket, and we did the whole tour of the Myrtles Plantation. And after the tour, we got back in the car, and in my car I had a cassette player.
The ghosty mixtape.
Exactly. So we put the tape in the tape player, and we started listening to it. And then in a lull in the tour guide's little spiel, we hear, "Please take some cookies." Well, if you know about the Myrtles Plantation, Chloe, who was the maid there, poisoned the children and the mother with some cookies that had
allegedly.
Yeah. Right. Well, Chloe was trying to offer us cookies. So,
I bet they were good cookies, too. You should have taken some.
Yeah, right? Needless to say, we tried to get the tape out of the tape player very quickly, and it wouldn't come out. So we hit the reverse button, and the tape flew out, and then we promptly pulled into a gas station and bought a whole pack of cigarettes and smoked them all the way back to Baton Rouge.
Nobody's going to believe you, girl.
That's your own sage stick, huh?
Yeah.
Pack of smokes.
Was the EVP crystal clear? Because I know some are like, oh, they said, "Mom, you're done." crystal clear. See, those are the ones I like.
See, I never get ghosts offering me cookies. I always get like, "You're gonna die."
Yeah. Or they call me
Eat your
bitch.
soul.
Yeah.
All right, where was right over here? We've got this gentleman in the back. Somebody right there. Yes.
Hi, my name is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Chicago, and
Chicago.
my paranormal encounter, I guess, has been happening ever since I was like 5.
Okay.
It's in my childhood home, and it first started like with a guy in the corner of my bedroom.
Yeah.
And at the time, I shared it with my sister, and I would always tell her that there was a white man in the closet, and it kept happening. All my brothers and sisters,
would he speak, or you just saw him standing there?
He just sat there,
Just kind of looking at you.
right. And while I was going through high school, it was just me and my mom in the house because all my brothers and sisters left.
Oh, you're the baby.
Right. So, like every morning, I would do ROTC, and before I went to school, I would jog around my neighborhood. And I mean, my neighborhood's not that safe, but whatever. So, this particular morning, I would get up. It was about like 5:30, and I opened my eyes, and he was literally standing by my bed.
Oh.
And his sockets were literally, there was nothing there.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Eye sockets were empty.
Right.
Oh.
And I couldn't move for some time, like 5 minutes. And I'm looking around trying to scream, and I couldn't breathe at all. Like, it was literally like an elephant on my chest. And after a while, I started moving my hands or whatever, and I started to come out of it. So once I was able to move my legs, I ran the fuck downstairs.
Yeah.
Where was the fuck to begin with that you had to pick it up and run it downstairs? And do you think the ghost was attached to you or the fuck? I'm just curious how that works.
It's a legit
I had
question.
no idea, but I'm downstairs. I'm taking a shower, trying to wake up. So I'm thinking it was just a dream, because you know black people don't have ghosts. So,
right.
Really?
No, it's true.
I've never heard that.
They don't tolerate that shenanigans.
Right. So I'm like, whatever. I'm trying to shake it off. I take a shower, and I'm going to go run this off. So I go for a run, and there's police down in the alley of my neighborhood. And so they're blocking it off, and I'm like, what happened? Well, a young man had just gotten beaten to death by a gang. And it was literally the same alleyway that I run every morning.
Oh, wow.
So my grandma told me to take it as a positive, like he was trying to save you. So I'm like, okay. I mean, I'd rather take a positive than a negative. So
for sure.
I think he wanted to just eat your soul, but your grandma's story is much better.
No.
Let's stick with Grandma's story.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a guardian. That's what kept you in your bed.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Well, yeah. And did he disrupt your pattern so that you went out later than you would have, and that's what kept you from getting attacked?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. All right, we've got a gentleman right back there sitting down, and we'll keep working our way around.
I'm Mike from Kansas City.
Hey, Mike from Kansas City.
Hello. 2 brief stories real quick. One kind of a little bit more famous, I guess, of an encounter just because of who I saw. But the first one, I was actually living in Warrensburg, Missouri, and I was laying in my apartment room at the time, and I was hearing something kind of moving around in the closet. I had like plastic bags, from a grocery store or whatever, and I heard that for a good couple minutes, and then I started feeling like a cold sensation on the back of my neck, and I was laying on my back in my bed, and I started feeling like I would describe it as like a massage. So of course,
I like this ghost.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to move.
Can you send him to my room later?
Yeah, and I mean, it went on for probably 15, 20 minutes. Didn't think anything of it. Of course, it was pretty weird. Just the sheer sensation of goosebumps and all that.
All right, now hold on one second. This is where I need to go back to our African American gentleman who doesn't have ghosts. So you were unnerved, but if he was suddenly rubbing your back, is it a much more appealing ghost? No, still not having it. See, that's just how dumb white people are. We're like, a ghost? Oh, shit, yeah. As long as this is the way you're going to haunt me, make it happen.
Massage therapist.
Until you hear the whisper in your ear, don't make this weird. Right? The ghost is even getting skeeved out by how much you're into the back rub.
But what really got to me with this whole experience was my roommate at the time had this cat. And the cat, whenever I first moved in, super loving, very nice. But after that night, that cat resented me really? The entire time that I lived there until I moved out. It would run past and try to, attack me and hiss and run and hide. And, thinking about how animals can be sensitive to spirits and things of that nature.
No, you're giving them too much credit. Cats are just dicks.
They are.
And what it comes down to is the cat saw you getting rubbed on by a ghost, and he's like, I'm right here, bitch.
Yeah.
Rub me. What are you rubbing this guy for, right? He was just jealous, yeah.
But I've had experiences before then, and then, of course, after then.
Tell me the next ghost story is about this ghost making you a sandwich and I'm moving in.
Yeah, so...
I literally just felt that tap on my back again. I'm not even going to lie.
Well, after that, I've had, just kind of random experiences, but I tried to not acknowledge them, being that I don't know really what it was, so I don't want to give it too much power.
Right.
But my first ever experience was actually with the Faceless Man. And I grew up in a small town of Brookfield, Missouri, population of less than 2,000. We're in the middle of nowhere. My next door neighbor, my best friend at the time, he lived on top of this hill, and I went outside. He was on vacation, but I was talking to his next door neighbor and asked her if she wanted to go out and ride bikes. Well, this is at the time whenever they didn't have all the fun, fancy, unlimited internet packages, and it was dial-up and all that fun stuff. So she had certain times whenever she could be on, and that was her time, so she didn't want to come out and play. Well, I looked up the hill and saw someone knelt down in my best friend's yard. And I asked my friend if he had been home, and she said no, she hadn't seen him. And so I thought it was kind of weird someone was in the middle of the yard. And about that time, the person stood up, and they were wearing blue jeans and a red flannel shirt or jacket. And I said someone had been in their yard messing with stuff, and asked her if she could look out to see who it was, and she didn't have a window facing that way. And they had long brown hair as well, and about that time they turned around and looked directly at me. And that's whenever I noticed there were no facial features. It was just all skin.
Freaky.
There was nothing there. And of course I was 12, 13 at the time. Turned around. I was outside speaking on a cordless phone. So I turned around and I said, oh my gosh, that person doesn't have a face. She's like, well, what do you mean? So I tried to explain it. I mean, it was a matter of seconds. And I turned back around and nobody was there.
Well, sure, you hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
Ooh, this freaker's got no face.
And I'd heard that could be a sign of, something could potentially happen or something bad happen, but I've never been able to make a connection with anything around that time frame.
Nothing happened to anybody in that house in a...
Not that I know of. I know in that area there was gypsy camps and stuff set up long time ago. But other than that, I really wouldn't know the history of that neighborhood.
Cool.
So.
Wow.
Very cool. All right, we've got time for about 2 more stories. We'll go right back to you.
Hi, my name is Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
I am originally from New York, but I live in North Carolina now. So I went to school in New Hampshire at a college that's very haunted. Between the deaths on the property prior to the school being there because it was owned by a family. If you go into the manor house there, that's now the president's offices. So the president of the school...
I want you to go to there.
I'll tell you after the podcast where I went to school, because that school is very private about what's happened on the campus.
Understandable.
So... I had an experience in the house, the president's house, with the White Lady. That's what she's known as. She was the mistress of that house. And if you go up into the upper floors, especially if you're there to talk to someone in these offices up there, you will feel this cold blast come straight through you.
Really?
And that room will be 68 degrees in the winter time because it's New Hampshire. It's cold. And the white lady came right through me because I saw a shadow. Was like, whatever. I don't care. There's shadows all the time up in that school. And I was like, okay, whatever. Literally, this being came straight through, and all I felt was ice.
Wow.
That's actually pretty common.
And she walked through the person who was next to me. And I didn't say anything. And he turns to me and says, did it all of a sudden get cold?
Don't you love when somebody else validates it for you? So you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. Well, I am, but...
No, I was turning to him and go, nope. Feels pretty warm in here to me.
But she roams the top floor, and then there is a servant who's in the basement. That person is not very nice. That person will throw books at you.
You know, he's cleaning. That's what's going on.
Yeah, and then the dorms are haunted too, as well. And the freshman dorms are haunted by students, actually, that have committed suicide.
Oh, yeah, that does happen a lot, actually.
Yeah, and that dorm, the massive dorm that I was in, that was haunted my freshman year.
Wow.
And you'll hear marbles, you'll hear a rocking chair, you'll hear the pipes rattle, and then you'll hear people slamming doors. In the middle of the night,
that's terrifying.
Everybody is asleep, and you'll hear the doors slam.
How come we don't just hear, like, Saved by the Band music instead?
Right. That would be great.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the lead singer of Saved by the Band.
Yeah.
Trying to go incognito, and I blew that shit up, huh?
Yeah, you did.
I'll just stroll through this podcast and not be noticed.
But
very cool.
Yeah, and there's other stories from around the campus that I'll gladly explain to you later.
Okay, please do.
I can't give out the school name on a podcast.
I understand.
Mad.
Sure you can. Nobody will tell.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Sir, did you have one as well? No, who was you right there, ma'am? Okay, go ahead, and I think this will have to be our last one. Go ahead.
Okay, so I grew up in Texarkana, Arkansas.
Okay.
Which is Twin City with Texas.
I don't...
And I grew up...
Apparently Marco Polo's still being played by Sasquatch from Texarkana now.
There's your groupies.
Yeah.
So I was the youngest of 4 daughters. I have 5 children myself, so I feel for you, and you are amazing.
Thank you.
To have as many children as you have.
That's why I have 11 children.
Right.
I kid.
But because I was 8 years younger than my closest sister, and so I grew up with my 3 teenage sisters and a poltergeist.
Oh!
I love that movie, starring Steve Guttenberg and Ted Danson, 3 sisters and a poltergeist. Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But they thought it was really funny to do things. Like one time we went somewhere and I came back home and there was a huge lava rock sitting in the middle of the living room. No glass was broken, nothing, but it was there.
What?
Wow. Yeah. There was one time he and I started dating when I was 15, and he went to go sneak in my window. Shh.
We all did
Don't
it.
do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, you.
And he decided not to because there was a woman standing in the window. It wasn't me, and it certainly wasn't my mother because she wouldn't have been. But anyway, so the sister that I'm the closest to, she liked to do cross-stitching. And so when she was about 18 years old, she started doing this big elaborate cross-stitch. And she always put it at the end of the night in this drawer. And one morning she woke up and she went to go get it out, and the cloth was still there, but the thread was gone.
What?
Wow. And so we would all joke about it, and she looked for years and years and years. Well, about 10 years later, when she got married, graduated high school, graduated college, and had her first child, she and I were there probably for our wedding, and she went to open the drawer back up, and the thread was in there.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So
that ghost hates cross-stitchers.
Apparently.
I don't know what
we all have our problems.
That's awesome.
Very cool. I know we had one more gal in the front row that had a story we didn't get a chance to get to. Can we just do this one and then we'll wrap up? All right, Nikki. Not Nikki Folsom.
The other Nikki.
Nikki, where are you from?
I'm from Philly.
Okay. From where?
Philadelphia.
Philly. Okay. Sorry.
People don't know
I
Philly.
thought you said Findlay. I was like, sound normal. All right, what's your paranormal experience?
Mine actually happened on one of your events at the Stanley Hotel.
Okay.
We were in the Manor House, and we were investigating with a big group, but 4 of us kind of wanted to wander out because the room we were in was pretty full. So we went down a hallway in the Manor House, and we started making connection with a spirit box, and he was giving intelligent responses, like I would say, what's your favorite football team? Clearly said Broncos. We were in Colorado, so stuff like that was pretty cool. And then with the flashlight and the Obulus and just doing EVPs, we were making pretty cool connection. So we were getting ready to wrap up, and we kept asking him to, it was okay to show yourself. And then we see at the end of the hall this tall man come out, and we thought it was Jeff because he was leading the investigation, telling
Belanger,
us
right?
to wrap it up. But we're like, what are you doing? And we kept saying things, and there was no response. So we were kind of getting mad. We're like, are you messing with us? Why are you not talking back to us? And then he kind of just slowly walked away, and like a second later, one of our friends came to get us, and she's like, we're wrapping up, we gotta go. There was no doors in that part of the hallway, so we were like, did anybody pass you? And she said no. So that was awesome. We thought Jeff was playing with us, and we asked him about it, but she said he stayed in the room. So one of the things we did get I thought was pretty cool was he had said that he had a pet dog named Sandy. And the next day we were just walking the grounds, and this lady was walking a golden retriever, and we asked her the name of the dog, and the dog's name was Sandy.
Oh, wow.
So we thought that was crazy. And then one more thing, you did another event at the Stanley, and I couldn't make it, but the 3 other girls went. And one day I wake up from this dream that I had, and in the dream I was just like in a basement of a house that I know, and there's a room in that basement. And in my dream I just remember this very vivid light coming from that room that's in the basement. I just thought it was so weird, and it felt so weird and so bright. I wake up that day, and I got a voicemail from the girls. And they were like, Nikki, we just had to call you. His name was Charles. And they said, we made contact with Charles again, and we told him to turn on a light for you. Did he turn on a light for you?
I'm covered in goosebumps right now.
Very cool.
So that was my Charles.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for sharing your stories with us
Yes,
today
guys,
and being a part of the
thank
program.
you.
We appreciate it. Just to remind you, you can tune in and check me out Monday through Friday on Midnight in the Duster, the best in anomalous talk radio. And if you can't listen live, you can subscribe and always catch the shows in rerun. Every Tuesday, True Crime Tuesday, we explore the world of true crime. We speak with survivors. We talk with investigators, police, all types of people in all different crimes. Plus, we have a little fun with a segment we call Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, where we read the dumbest crimes. And how many people here are from Florida? Thank you for all the dumb crimes, stupid criminals. And then on every Saturday and Sunday, you can hear this program, Beyond the Darkness, the best in paranormal talk radio.
The #1 paranormal
Thank you.
podcast of 2018.
So thank you guys very much, and I hope you'll check out the shows. For those of you in the audience, you can come up and get our cards and find out what we're doing. You can also check out our website at darknessradio.com. Follow me on social media. I'm excited to say I begin filming on March 5th for a brand new TV series. It'll begin airing later this fall on the Travel Channel.
That he can tell you nothing about.
I can tell you that and only that. So follow me on social media for updates on that. And I want to thank everybody for coming out and doing this. Let's thank Nikki Folsom from the Haunted Harlequin. Kitsie Duncan from Oddity Files and Oddity Files, the podcast. For Tim Dennis back at home, I'm Dave Schrader. You've been listening to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness.